Hey guys, Blazen here, and today, in this video, I thought I'd go over the Pyre Blaster, Pyre Cannon, and the Power Axe and show off what I believe to be are the best builds and the best variants. So let's waste no time and get straight to it. Starting off with the Pyre Blaster, I don't think it's that outlandish to say that the venting speed variant is the best variant versus the ammo variant. You really do feel the gun overheat without the venting speed variant. With the venting speed at 9, you can basically hold down the trigger forever. So, venting speed variant, easily the clear winner. As for the perk tree, this is how I have it set up, and I'm going to explain real fast. So, when it comes between these two perks, it honestly really doesn't matter between improved fast venting and perpetual cooling. It really doesn't matter. Now, this bottom tree has Divine Might, but ultimately these two perks up here are just simply better. Eternal Flame, burning time increases by 25%, and Potent Flame, burning damage increases by 50%. So, a couple of damage increases right here. And then Contingency Plan, when your ammo reserve is less than 25% of your ammo capacity, melee damage increases by 20%. This is not good. I've expressed this opinion before, and I'll say it again. You do not want to be in low ammo to begin with. So already, you can pretty much skip over this perk. Moving forward with Flame of Ascension. Burning 5 enemies restores 1 armor segment, cooldown is 30 seconds. This is really good. And then down here is Rapid Health. Actually, both of these could be good for the Flamethrower, but considering that you have to spend a point down here just to get to Rapid Health, it's not worth it. So, might as well just keep going forward and just get Flame of Ascension. And get the next perk, another Potent Flame, another damage increase. So, easy pickup. And then Flashburn, enemies at a distance of less than 10 meters take 20% more damage. Another free damage perk pickup, like might as well. And then we keep going to increased capacity and ammo reserve increase, so another no-brainer. And then Flame of Purification, burning enemies take 20% more melee damage. This is nice if you want to mix the enemies that are burning with your melee, but this is also useful for your teammates as well. Your teammates will be dealing 20% more melee damage as they are meleeing enemies that are already burning. And then we take a look at the top tree real quick. Charging time decreases by 75%. I assume this is the initial startup when you first pull down the trigger. Not that important. And then Pure Flame. Burning damage increases by 50%. Direct damage decreases by 50%. This sounds bad. I've never tried it, but I don't even think I want to. That sounds terrible. So ultimately, I think this is the way to go. So, there it is. Moving on to the Pyre Cannon. It's pretty much the same story. Actually, almost the exact same thing. Venting speed variant is superior over the ammo variant. Although maybe as a heavy you might want to go for the ammo variant depending on your build. So, I'll say that much. But ultimately, I'm still going to use the venting speed variant. And as you can see, the perk tree pathing is exactly the same as tacticals. But some of the perks are a little different. Again, with these two perks, it really doesn't matter. And then here's where it's a little different. So, Eternal Flame, once again. And then down here is different. Flame of Protection. Burning enemies deal 20% less melee damage. This is nice, but it's like a forgettable perk. Like, you don't need this. Besides, you want to come up here for increased capacity. The maximum ammo reserve of this weapon increases by 20%. And for a heavy, this is pretty much mandatory. And then Contingency Plan is right here. You don't really want this. So it's basically the same pathing. Here's Flame of Ascension once again. Potent Flame, a free damage increase. And Divine Might. Hey, look at that. We got Divine Might over here instead of the tactical tree. And I think you want to come down here anyways because of heavy immunity. While in heavy stance, you do not lose control about taking heavy hits. This is pretty much a very powerful perk for the heavy class. And then lastly, Flashburn. Enemies at a distance less than 10 meters take 20% more damage. So another free damage increase. And the top two perks right here are the same as the Pyre Blaster, which is not worth it. So ultimately, the same pathing. Same pathing, same variant. So those are what I run with between the Pyre Blaster and Pyre Cannon, and the both venting speed variants. I think those are ultimately the way to go. Now, let's finally talk about the Power Axe, which I'm sure is probably the weapon that you guys want to see when you clicked on this video. So, I've been spending a lot of time with the Power Axe to really try and figure out what's the best variant. Is it the fencing one or the balanced one? And, well, as you can see, I think the fencing one has been really good, ultimately. I find myself, despite the damage, decrease compared to balance, I just find myself eradicating hordes much quicker. And due to its speed, especially with how long the animation is for this weapon, you can find yourself, like when using the balanced version, you can find yourself stuck in animations and you won't be able to like dodge when you really need to from unblockable attacks. I think the only time you want to use the balanced variant is if you're playing assault and you're, to complement your ground pound because of that increased damage. But other than that, even then, I'd still just stick with the fencing variant. Now, this is just my opinion. Like I said, I've been putting a lot of time into the Power Axe. I've been using this weapon in hard siege as well as hard stratagems. So ultimately, I think speed really helps out this weapon. So that is my case as to why I think the fencing variant is better than the balanced variant. And of course, as you're all aware, the block variant is not worth using at the moment, as of the making of this video, because when you perfect block, you cannot go into power backstep or power stance. So until they actually fix that or implement that, the block variant is not worth it at the moment. Now moving on to the perk tree, which I'm sure you all want to see. So I'm going to try to explain all of this as best as I can. So because we're using the fencing variant and therefore we have the weakest damage, I figured it's best to build this weapon up with as much damage perks as possible. I mean, you want to do that anyways, but I think it's especially important for the Power Axe. So when this weapon came out, I immediately went to the top tree, and I figured the top tree might be the best because of two perks: Confidence Stance and Patience Stance. But again, as I've been spending a lot of time with this weapon, I feel like these two perks are not as good as they sound. Let me try and explain. So, Confidence Stance. While in Power Stance, you do not lose control about taking heavy hits, and you cannot be knocked back. Now, I'm going to be honest. The only time I've ever been knocked out of my Power Stance is maybe just once, ever. And when you think about it, when you parry and go into Power Stance, you're not going to sit there in Power Stance for 10 seconds. When you get into Power Stance, you want to, power backstep immediately, or like as soon as you can. And not to mention, power backstep actually stuns enemies, which is a big deal. So ultimately, I don't find myself getting knocked off of Power Stance very often. And then we have Patience Stance. While in Patience Stance, you do not lose contested health. The same thing I just explained. When you go into Power Stance, you want to power backstep ASAP. And when you do that, you get some of your contested health back. And then in some, if not a lot of the cases, the enemy you parried and backstepped is gun strikeable. So you're going to gun strike after that and get basically all your contested health back anyways. So these two perks, in my opinion, not as good as they sound. And then talk about Perpetual Speed real quick. This sounds nice, but ultimately not worth it. Besides, we are using the fencing variant. Maybe if they increase this to 10%, I wonder if it'll make a difference, but those are my thoughts on this perk. I don't think it's worth getting. And then talk about this perk, Endless Slash. This is more of like a fun perk. I don't think it's that useful, especially since World Slash got buffed. So pretty much a forgettable perk, or it's just like, if you want it, you can have it, but it's not necessary. Alright, now let's talk about the actual tree I went down in. So here we have Perpetual Strength, a 5% damage increase. Coup de Grace, the last strike of a light combo deals 25% more damage. So another damage increase. A 5% damage increase. Another 5% damage increase. Counterattack. Oh, since we're here, there's two perks I want to talk about now that we're here. Counterattack and Power Strike. These two perks confuse me a little bit because these kind of feel like anti-Power Axe fun perk. I know that sounds weird to say, but let me explain. Let's talk about Power Strike first. Gun Strike from Power Stance deals 20% more damage. That sounds good. However, what confuses me is that when you go into Power Stance, are you telling me I have to sacrifice my Power Backstep in order instead Gun Strike? You know what I'm saying? Like, are you saying I have to sacrifice the fun and unique part about this weapon and just go for a normal gun strike that deals 20% more damage? I feel like they gotta change the description of this perk, where it's just gonna be like, after power backstep, you deal 20% more gun strike damage, something like that. So that's what I think about this perk. This perk doesn't sound as bad, it's just weird. Counterattack. The first light attack within 5 seconds after a perfect parry or perfect block deals 25% more damage. This is good, but once again, it's like, dude, for the most part, basically everybody, after a perfect parry, everybody's going to be doing power backstep. Maybe if they make this last longer, like instead of 5 seconds, 10 seconds, that way it gives me more time to go back in for a light attack. I feel like that would be a simple sort of fix for this perk. So those are my thoughts on counterattack and power strike. And then we come down here for riposte. I hope I'm saying that right. After performing a power backstep, hold attack to perform an overhead strike. This is actually very similar to what I explained with Endless Slash. This is just a fun extra move to have. It looks cool. and it's cool to do, but that's about it. It doesn't actually improve the power axe. At least I don't think so. I had this point spent here and I put it here. I've been using this for a long time, but ultimately I've sacrificed it for another 5% damage increase. So this is cool, but not necessary. Moving forward, hard target. While performing a light combo, you take 15% less range damage. This is just nice. So it's just like, okay, cool, nice pickup. Then we have tactical retreat. Power backstep deals 25% more damage. I mean, it's just another damage increase, especially since I believe power backstep in particular was buffed. And then we have up here power wave. Power backstep, wave damages more enemies. I feel like these two perks are good. Like it's just a matter of, do you want a bigger radius or do you just want more damage? I feel like these two perks are good. But honestly, I think the main reason why you want to come down here, like these 3 perks versus these 3 perks, is because of this perk. Cleaver. Damage increases by 10% against Majoris level and higher enemies. I think this is clearly way better than what's up here. Minoris Slayer. Melee damage against Minoris level enemies increases by 20%. I think just because of this perk alone, you want to come down this path anyways. And not to mention, it says here Majoris level and higher enemies. So this includes, or at least I think this should include, Extremis and Terminus level enemies as well. So this sounds like a really good perk. And then we come here to the last two. Rebound speed style attacks restore 100% more contested health. This is just a nice pickup. And then lastly, discharge. Overhead strike deals damage around the target. The blast radius isn't that huge, but hey, I think having a blast radius is better than not having a blast radius. So this was nice to have with Riposte. I need to talk about these 2 perks right here. Restoration. Killing 7 enemies in rapid succession restores 1 armor segment. Cooldown is 20 seconds. This is a good perk. And then lastly, slash momentum. Each consecutive whirl slash increases his damage by 3% up to 30% for 1 second. Huh. This is 1 second. I wonder if that's supposed to be 3 seconds. I don't know. I feel like that should be 3 seconds. So ultimately, after everything I've just explained, I do think the bottom tree down here is ultimately better than the top tree. In the top tree, Slash Momentum is the only perk I'm interested in maybe trying out. War Slash is already much better at clearing hordes. I'm curious how much damage this stacks up against Majoris and up. Like against Majoris and Extremis level enemies, and then combine that with Endless Slash. How good is it? But even then, I don't think it will be worth trying, because I think a majority of the rest of the perks are just better down here. So ultimately, those are my thoughts and explanation on my current pathing and just my overall thoughts on the perk tree of the Power Axe. I hope it makes sense. If I missed anything, you guys can let me know. And I guess a little update on something else. I am making progress on testing and getting all of the heroic weapons. So my plan is probably within this week I should have the Xeno Phase Blade, and then Monday when the weekly stratagems reset, I should have the Relic Battle-Worn Heavy Plasma Incinerator. And then this will be the last weapon I'll test. And then after that, expect a video on all my thoughts on the honor weapons. So keep a lookout for that. And yeah, that's pretty much this video. I'm going to end it right here. Like if you enjoyed. Please feel free to comment down below on what you think of the Pyre Blaster, Pyre Cannon, and the Power Axe. And of course, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any new videos like this. And until next time, peace.